Hi, Diane. Nice to meet.
Hello. Hi, so nice to meet you, Nancy.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this conversation. You don't know.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm delighted. I'm so happy to be here.
I mean, cooking classes, coaching, author, documentary producer. We'll get into all of that. But first, let's start with where is your home?
My home right now is Los Angeles, specifically Santa Monica. I live pretty close to where the big fires were this year, so it's been quite a few months. Yeah, it's been really hard for a lot of people around us, but all good, all good. And I'm originally from New York, and I've been in Los Angeles for 33 years, a long time. And this is definitely home, but there's a still part of me that's very much a New Yorker.
Well, I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, so I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So I'm here in my new home, Albuquerque, where I love it.
Yeah.
New York still my other home.
Yeah. I get it. I think a lot of New Yorkers feel that way. So.
So, what sparked your journey into the world of plant-based living, veganism? Was it a light bulb moment, a gradual shift, or maybe a delicious meal that made you think, wait a second, I could totally do this?
Yeah, that's yes, 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 and yes. Um, the when I was in college, I took a philosophy class and we read Peter Singer's book. Um, Now I'm forgetting the name.
Animal liberation?
Animal Liberation. Yeah, and there's actually the new version now, Animal Liberation Now. And I was just looking at another one of his books yesterday, so I'm like, wait, which title am I talking about here? And uh, it was one of those eye-opening moments, like, whoa, like it finally clicked. Like the chicken on my plate is the same thing as the chicken. Like I knew because I'm a relatively intelligent person, but like just, we just sort of eat what was put in front of us. Many of us did when we didn't question it. And I was so horrified, and I was a vegetarian for 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. But I was a kid and I wasn't emotionally ready to figure it all out. And it was just it felt like too hard. It just felt too hard to me. But gradually over time, I was like, it was always nagging in the back of my head. This is not right. This is not right. This is not right. And ultimately, I sort of had a hierarchy in my mind. Okay, cows and pigs, no, done. Can't do that. And then eventually I was like, well, can't eat chickens either. I can't. And that was a long time I was pescatarian for like many, many years. And then for spiritual reasons, I'm not going to get into it because I'll sound like a wacko. I I decided no more fish. It was like that was it. And I was vegetarian for a few years. And then I started learning as I was involved a little bit more as a vegetarian. I think in fact, I was a member of Vegan Toastmasters at that point. So I started hearing things that they were sharing in the meetings. And it was like, oh, wait, there's a whole nother level here, of compassion that I'm not experiencing internally. And that's when I started learning about dairy and the horrors of dairy and chickens and eggs and the horrors of the egg industry. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And so almost 6 years ago, I went vegan. And well, it really took me a long time. And so many of us vegans are like, I can't believe it took me so long, And if I had known then what I know now about how doable it is, how delicious it can be. And granted, I think it's more delicious than it was 40 years ago when I was in college. But, it's delicious now. And it can be delicious. And you know, I hate to say, people are like, oh, it must be so hard. And, I don't want to minimize that it can be hard for people in the beginning. Because if you're so used to doing something one way for so many years and then you're asked to completely drop that, I understand it can be hard. But I think we also decide that things are going to be hard in our heads. And then we come from that standpoint as opposed to, what if it wasn't so hard? So it's a lot of it's mindset. So yeah, I've been vegan for now 6 years. And I just wanted to shout it from the rooftops. Like once I'd been vegan for a little bit and was like still here, like, okay, I didn't fade away. Like everybody should be vegan, like how can we get more people to be vegan? And then I got really worried, like, what if it's not a healthy thing? Like, what if being vegan isn't healthy? Like, I can't I can't tell people to go be vegan to save the animals if it's going to risk our lives. Like that wouldn't be cool. So then I studied plant-based nutrition, and I was just so happy to learn that it was really the healthiest way to eat. And I just made a few changes to my diet, and and then I felt very comfortable being able to say we can, it's really healthy to eat plant-based, in particular healthy plant-based. Um, Obviously, not so much processed vegan, but start somewhere. Get whatever it takes to get there. So yeah, that's sort of the journey.
I think sometimes one of the things that blocks us is what you were talking about, how we um, throw at it, it's going to be hard.
Yes.
So I shouldn't do it because it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult. But it really isn't. It's just a matter of kind of changing the perspective and wanting to be healthier, wanting to cook food that's healthier for your family.
Mhm.
And then you realize, wow, that wasn't that hard at all. But in the beginning, just because humans by nature don't like change,
It's
we
true.
just perceive it to be difficult.
Yeah, and it's which I understand because I remember being that place thinking, how am I going to do this? And then when I made the decision, not I didn't have a plan. In retrospect, it would maybe have been a good idea to have a plan, but I didn't have a plan. I just sort of did it. And I lived on like oatmeal for breakfast, which I kind of ate anyway. Um, I did miss egg. Like at first I was like, what am I going to replace the eggs with? Like I don't, and it didn't take long. And then I realized they were grossing me out anyway. So I was eating a lot of salads, a lot of pasta, a lot of oats, and then like whatever my family ate, like I would just eat the vegetables and the potato or whatever it was, the rice. And I was fine like that for a while, but then I missed cooking because I used to cook for my family. In fact, for a while when I first went vegan, I was still cooking for them, cooking meat, and which was mostly like chicken and fish, but it didn't take long. And I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to touch this, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Like if I'm vegan and I'm not participating and they can go figure it out themselves. And I don't even know what they did, but but I wanted to learn how to, like, I wanted to still be able to cook for my family, but I didn't know how to cook plant-based. And I remember opening up a cookbook. Okay, I know how to cook. I can read a recipe. And I opened up the cookbook and I had no idea. Like there were ingredients in there that I'd never heard of. And it freaked me out. And I shut the cookbook and I like tossed it aside. And I was like, well, this is not okay. But in short order, the universe is pretty smart and knows when we need something sometimes, right? And all of a sudden there was a vegan cooking class in my inbox and I didn't even hesitate. I didn't even care what the price was. I just like did it. And it was it was such a game changer for me because for this recipe this week we had to get nutritional yeast, and for this recipe next week we got miso or whatever the ingredients were. And we cooked all together and I was like, wait, that wasn't so hard. And now I know what nutritional yeast is. And now I have this in my pantry and oh, look at that recipe that I just found online. It has those ingredients and I have them and I know how to use them. And all of a sudden it wasn't so hard anymore. And it really built my confidence. So that was really the smartest thing I ever did.
So before transitioning to a vegan lifestyle, you were already deeply involved in companion animal rescue.
Yes.
How did your advocacy for rescuing dogs shape your perspective on animal welfare, and did it influence your decision to embrace veganism?
It definitely influenced my decision. For a long time, I could separate the two. I was involved with animal rescue. I served on the board of a small rescue group that is defunct now, but for for a number of years ago. I wrote books about animal rescue. It was dogs. It was just companions. And, again, I had blinders on that there was all these other species that I was eating, people were eating. And yet, I feed my dog and I sleep with my dog and I walk my dog, and yet I'm eating other animals. Like, what? Come on. But I remember there was a cartoon that I saw once, and I don't know if this was the catalyst, but it was certainly something along the way that really gave one of those little light bulbs. It was a cartoon of a cow on the inside of a field and a dog on the other side of the fence on the outside of the field. And the cow asked the dog, "How come you get to sleep in their bed and I end up on their plate?" And it was one of those, whoa, because they're both on four legs, they both have fur, they're both, and then we went and visited a farm animal sanctuary here, and I was brushing a cow. I'm like, no, can't do this anymore. Can't eat these beautiful, beautiful, gentle, sentient animals anymore. I just can't. They're basically the same as dogs, and it's so fascinating because in some cultures, as we know, the cow is revered and the dog is eaten, and so it's also subjective and cultural. But if we don't eat any animals, I think we're safe.
Right. And this is the time where you wrote the two books, JJ Goes to Puppy Class and JJ the American Street Dog.
Yeah, I wrote the books about my experience accidentally adopting our first dog.
Okay.
And yeah, and then we've adopted more dogs since then. And then I wrote, and that was like in 2009 or something like that. I wrote the kids' books. And then a few years later, I published a book called What to Expect When Adopting a Dog. And that was sort of like kind of everything I'd learned over again, like when I have information in my head, like I just want to share it, like just want to share it. And so I wrote What to Expect When Adopting a Dog. And then a few years later, I was at a conference it was a pet conference. And the keynote speaker was from HABRI, the Human Animal Bond Research Institute. And one of the things we were learning about was like the different ways that animals help people, like service dogs and therapy animals. And I think that, sometimes as a vegan, it's like, we don't want to use animals, but I also think that there's a time and a place for everything. So I'll leave it at that. That's my opinion on this. But I was really excited about that at the end of it. And I was like, oh, what if more people knew? My light bulb was, if more people knew how amazing animals were, maybe we would stop eating them. That was so I came back and I was so excited after this conference, and I was volunteering at an organization at the time that paired rescued shelter dogs with at-risk youth. And the kids were training the dogs that they would become more adoptable. It was a beautiful, beautiful program. And the kids blossomed. It was gorgeous. And I was talking to the program director and telling her how excited I was about this stuff that I learned about therapy animals, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, you should make a documentary. And I was like, well, I've never made a film before, but my husband's in film marketing. And I'm like, we know people, I'll do it. So I made some short films, and I really enjoyed the process, and I learned a lot, and it was fun, and it helped bring some awareness to some really cool programs that are out there. But I also realized that at that point, speaking out for all animals was important to me. And people don't make the leap from, oh, look how great the dogs are, to we shouldn't eat cows. And I thought that this message that I'm getting this way wasn't helping, the bigger message that I wanted to offer. So I shifted into plant-based cooking.
Okay. But your many documentaries
Yeah.
highlighted the incredible ways animals and humans support each other.
Correct.
Uh, was there a powerful story you encounter while creating these films, and did it play a major role in your journey to founding What's Plant-Based Cooking Good Looking?
Oh yeah, what's plant-based cooking good looking? Um, those stories, they were just, again, as I was saying, there were beautiful stories. I did follow one family. I was hoping to make this great series that didn't end up happening, but I connected with a family. The daughter has an epilepsy diagnosis, and you know, dogs are trained now to help people, in dire situations, navigate seizures. And this family I've learned about, and they were getting a dog and a seizure dog. And so I got to meet them and be there when the dog came home, after being trained. And it was just, it was like just to know that this family is so helped by the presence of this dog and what this dog can do. It's just so beautiful. Um, but again, there's no mapping over in my mind, to like, I love when I meet people who are in companion animal rescue or therapy animals who are vegan. They're like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, it's not just about the dogs or the cats or the horses. It's really about, but it's really hard having the vegan conversation with people who, love dogs. It's just, so, more and more people are getting it. Like, it's slow, but it was slow for me too. So this is where we have compassion for people. Like, we want everybody to be vegan like yesterday, right? That'd be great. But since I wasn't born vegan, and it didn't, I didn't wake up when I was, 12. I mean, I see these kids like, no, I'm done. I'm not eating meat. I'm like, good for you. I wasn't that person. So I have a lot of compassion for other people who are, we call them pregans, pre-vegan, and so I have a lot of compassion for people who are not there yet, but, really delighted by people who are willing to make the leap.
Awesome. So, tell us anything else that you want us to know about, or share your website and how you're doing coaching now for individuals who might want to give you a try.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I love helping people take, and people are in different stages. Some people are already, they're vegetarian, or they're recently vegan, or they're not quite there, but they want to be there. And some people just need help with the cooking. Some people just don't know how to organize their day and their week. And some people, it just, like, if there's a million people, there's a million different reasons why people could use some support. And I love being that person that holds your hand. I was doing some work last year with a nutritionist. She's a dietitian, actually, and personal work. I had some gut issues for a long time, and actually working with her, she's a plant-based dietitian, and she helped me modify my diet, add some more fruits in, more just doing more of the good stuff. And it really changed my gut. I mean, just really, really helped. And she's amazing. But when, a lot of times medical practitioners like her, or like doctors, they don't have the time to do the hand holding, like the weekly hand holding. So that's where a coach can come in, just help people get organized. A lot of times what I see is people who want to eat plant-based, but they haven't thought to buy the ingredients that they're going to need to cook dinner tonight ahead of, so what they end up just grabbing something that's easy, that's already in the freezer, or, it was easier to cook the chicken because they already knew how to do that, or they order something in that's not as healthy. And it's, a lot of it's learning how to prepare. For me, it's second nature now, because everything in my house is vegan. And, I only shop for vegan, and I go food shopping a couple of times a week, and I go to the farmer's market, which I love. And so there's always food in my house that's ready to prep or ready to eat. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, how do I decide what I'm going to eat for dinner? And when I first went vegan and first started cooking plant-based, I only knew how to make a couple of things, right? Like, I'd taken the cooking class, but I'd only learned how to make a couple of things. So those were kind of on repeat, repeat. And then, like, the next week I tried one more thing. And then the next week I tried, haven't all been perfect or delicious, but they're all, edible. But now I have a whole recipe book, and I even made a list. I put a list in my computer of like favorite dinners. I'm like, well, what do I want to make tonight? And now I have a list, and it's like, well, we had veggie burgers last night. I haven't made lentil bolognese in a while, and I'm kind of in the mood for that. So I think I'm going to do that tonight. And I have tofu in the fridge, and I just went to the farmer's market and got broccoli. So I think I'll make tofu and broccoli tomorrow night. And so I just sort of like rotate, like, oh, we haven't had that in a week or two. Oh, it's time for tacos. Let's make tacos, and let's make a bowl tonight. So it's actually kind of fun, like just sort of rotating through the different foods. And I don't even remember what the question was that you asked. And I've just been talking about eating because it's like my favorite topic.
We were just talking about you were sharing your website so that
Oh,
anyone
right.
might
Coaching.
want
Right.
help.
Coaching. You asked about coaching. And so, yeah, so these are the types of things that, as people learn how to cook more and not everybody wants to cook, and I understand that, but there's still ways to prepare. I was talking to somebody, it was a few months ago, and she's like, I don't cook, I don't like to cook. And so we had a coaching call. And she starts telling me about all these foods that she's prepared. I'm like, I thought you said you don't cook. And she's like, oh, I didn't, think of it. I'm like, if you're not ordering in 100%, you're probably preparing something. And so I think people need to give themselves more credit that they're, and I understand not everybody wants to learn how to cook, but it's more affordable to learn how to cook. It's very delicious, not so hard. It's creative. I'm having a blast cooking plant-based. So coaching people, if they need help with the getting started or keep on going or the cooking, like whatever you need, that's what I like to do.
Well, thank you, Diane, for joining us on the Vegan Pulse. And I'll have the website or anyone viewing can just Google what's plant-based cooking good looking. I
Yeah,
love
thank
that.
you.
And go there and find out more information about Diane and her coaching and her. I'm sure that at some points you do some cooking demos, maybe.
Yeah, I've been teaching cooking classes and we'll do more of those in the future too.
Well, thank you again, Diane. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, thank you so much. Really nice to see you, Nancy.
Bye bye.